I love talking with passionate business owners. Their enthusiasm is irresistible, their knowledge is invaluable, and their wisdom holds the keys to transforming your passion into successful business. As a marketing strategist, I help people around the world innovate and grow their business. I'm Jay Hamilton Roth, and this is Business with Passion. Today's episode features guests whose businesses help feed the local community with more than just food. Andrew Brait is one of 4 partners of Full Belly Farm, a highly diversified 300-acre organic farm in the Capay Valley. As a first-generation farmer, Andrew believes that successful farming must look at a triple bottom line, ensuring fiscal solvency, ecological sustainability, and social profit.
As a 300-acre diversified organic farm, who we consider ourselves to be probably a larger scale small farm. I think of ourselves, we're a family farm, not a small farm. We're certainly not a large farm. We're a medium size, but I think of ourselves as a large, small scale farm. I thought in getting into agriculture, it was about being outside. I thought it was about getting your hands dirty, being that much closer to the natural world. I thought maybe it was a little bit about work ethic, or maybe a lot about work ethic, but also believing that it was some kind of work that at the end of the day was an honest day's work, and it was right livelihood-esque. I didn't really know that it was very much about economics and good business sense. I didn't really know that it was about about interpersonal relationships. I thought it was a little bit of more of a hermitage experience. But as these other elements appeared, I either embraced them because it was a natural evolution, or it took me a while to kind of go, oh, egads, I think I got it. I think I understand why it's important, why marketing is important. And to the point that now, as I had mentioned, I spent probably 50% of my time as a farmer and 50% of my time as a marketer. And there's not a dichotomy between them. There really is a natural connection, but it's fascinating to see how you get yourself into something and you realize, wow, this is all these things that I thought I had absolutely no interest in. Having come from a business family, thought business, and especially retail. My family is 2-generation retail business people, and I thought this is the last thing in the world I want to do. And now I find that it's actually what propels me. That I go to farmers market 1 day a week, and that's great. 1 day is perfect. 2 days, it's a little too much for me. I really want to be at home, but you bring out this part of your personality that is not really who you are the other 6 days of the week, but it's also not disingenuous. It is who you are, but getting yourself up and extroverted, and realizing that people come there because they want to have a humanistic. They want to have a relationship. They want to be inspired by what's going on at your farm. They want to have a vicarious farm experience, and so you have to be in that position of trying to form that, trying to create that relationship. 1 day a week, I love it. I come back every week from farmers market completely inspired to farm better than I did the week before.
I love hand transplanting, and it's a little bit of the feeling of John Henry versus the steam drill. And the truth is, hand transplanting is just as fast. Just can't, unlike John Henry, you just can't keep it up all day. And you know, it wears on you. But I miss the hand contact. I mean, we touch the plants and we pop them in a hole, and the machine does the rest of it. But I miss the hand contact of making the hole, plunking it in, covering, moving, and you know, you can just go, and it's thrilling, but it's a little bit like running a marathon, but at a dash speed, and eventually you just can't quite keep up. But it is so fun to transplant. It's fun. There's so much potential there.
We market our crops 3 different ways, or through 3 different venues. First one would be farmers markets. We go to 3 farmers markets a week in the Bay Area. 2 of them are year-round markets, and one of them is a seasonal market. We also have a CSA, a fairly sizable CSA, currently with about 1,500 families receiving a box per week. And then the other 50% of our business is wholesale. And by wholesale, that can mean anything from stores and restaurants to distributors, institutions like schools and hospitals, cafeterias, etc. And those are the 3 main venues. We also have a very little farm stand where folks come by a Friday afternoon, which accounts for probably about 0.1% of our business, but it's so great to see our neighbors once a week and have them come down the road. We've been very fortunate that for the last, I think last year was the first year in 15 years that we did not have about a 10% growth, 10% plus growth. Much of it was due to the economy. Every year we experience natural disasters, whether it's freezes, floods, heat spells, insects, you know, the 10 plagues, so to speak. We always know that we can never rest on our laurels. More commonly in agriculture, you will see sole proprietorships, especially as in small farms. Husband and wife, you know, family farms are generally sole proprietorships. I tend to think of ourselves as a 3-family farm. About 2/3 maybe of all the ground that we farm we own, but we don't own it as the 4 of us. We own it in different configurations. At the core, the partner agreement in the most personal aspects are based on trust. We all truly believe, even if we don't agree with the decisions that others make, we trust that those decisions were well intended, were the best intended, and that, I think that's what helps the partnership persevere more than anything else. You have this momentum, and you have children that grow up on a farm, and you want to see them be able to see opportunity in the farm. And if without them seeing opportunity, they're never going to be interested.
I was born on this farm, and my parents are 2 of the partners. I went to college at Chico State, studied agriculture science and education, and then I moved back here, and I kind of created my own job title here as an outreach and education coordinator for the farm. So I run the summer camp that we have that happens in June and July, and we also have 3rd grade classes that come out here to the farm and do sort of a science and environmental farming camp for a couple of days, and so I take care of all of that, and I get to spend a lot of my time giving tours to really fun people. So I do hope to stay here on the farm because that's my ultimate goal.
The idea in my mind, when we talk about sustainable agriculture, is how does the farm keep working to create itself genuinely as a regenerative, almost a closed ecosystem where the inputs become less and less. We know where we want to go. We're still trying to figure out exactly how you get there. But I think that's really important for the future of this farm. It's really important for the future of agriculture. We use terms like sustainable agriculture. Systems have to become more self-sustaining. Self-sufficient, I don't know if that's the right term. I like self-reliant more. I think that's more realistic. I think it's also more inclusive. But the idea is that have to be regenerative. You can't just keep bringing things in from the outside. We know that the long-term security of the farm is based on forging relationships, and that commitment to those relationships is what really drives the farm. And it's not just about customers. It really isn't just about marketing. It's about education. It's about a much bigger picture of, well, what do you want to see happen in the world? And the farm is just one little drop of water in that sea of change, of what could happen in the world. I think it's really important to farm in an agricultural community because you need your neighbors. We desperately need our neighbors. Every single day of the week I talk to a neighbor, generally about the mundane, practical, you run out of a supply, you break a water line, instead of driving 50 minutes there and 50 minutes back to town to get a 2-inch coupler, and call your neighbor, say, do you have one? All those little, what I call 1%s, add up and make the difference between farming successfully and farming really on the edge. I want to be able to farm so that I can make my living farming. We're not going to be rich people, but we can't be poor. We have to be able to make our living doing this. I don't want to farm till the money runs out. I want to be able to farm in a way that's we're farming irregardless of having the most money in the world. We farm because this is what we want to do. This is what we'd rather be doing. And yeah, there's probably days I don't want to work, till dark 30, and there's certainly times that I really need a vacation, but that's not about money. That's because you overcommit. You have a lot of living beings that you're taking care of, plants or animals or otherwise, and that's what you assume. And so it's more about managing time and responsibility than it is about doing it because you're doing it for the money.
For me, the key strategic insights of Andrew Brait's success are: first, he discovered that farming requires him to spend at least half of his time marketing. Next, by staying in touch with his customers at farmers markets, he is regularly inspired to improve. And lastly, the farm's long-term growth of 10% a year gives the next generation of ownership a huge competitive edge. My next guest, Carola Detrick, inspired by volunteering for Project Open Hand, a nonprofit that delivers meals to people living with HIV, in 1993 started the nonprofit organization Meals of Marin. Since then, she and her volunteers have cooked and delivered over 900,000 meals to people with life-threatening illnesses.
I came to be doing what I am doing now, which is feeding people with life-threatening illnesses, through the passing of my mom. That was an experience that I could describe as grand, deep, and for me, definitely life-changing. My mom was my best friend. She was my mentor. She was love. And her last final lesson to me was to know that there is other than just what you can see, feel, hear, and smell. There is beyond. And so I was on that search after her passing to see, where is she? What is that lesson? What can I do? And how can she guide me? So I came to California after the experience. My mom passed in Germany. At the time I was a designer for leather goods. And I said to the people at my office, about 10 people, let's do something outside of ourselves. And we sat down and thought about it. I brought the idea of Project Open Hand, and everybody thought that was fabulous. And so that's what we did. We started at Open Hand, 2 people at a time, and rotating our chores. Partly I paid, partly the employees let go of some of their income, and we got a lot of experience. And that's how all of that started. However, then I read that there was a huge need here in Marin, because Marin at the time had the 2nd highest occurrence per capita in AIDS in California. At the time it was after San Francisco. That was in 1993. And so I said, that's easy, we'll do it in Marin. And when I say that's easy, that's when trouble begins. So I started looking around for the organization that was doing it here, and there was none. So the next thought was, well, then let's start something. What do you need? You need pots, you need pans, you need a fire, you need good taste, you need to know that people like your food. My kids like my food, so what can go wrong? People that don't feel so well need comfort food, and that's how I got started. Mom today serves 120 people, plus minus, every single day. We still do the 7-day thing, because the tummy still doesn't close down on Saturdays and Sundays. Mom also serves 2 meals a day, a hot dinner and a cold lunch. And most of our food is actually organic. Our beef is organic, most of our produce is. Also, when I look back of how I did things some 16 years ago and how we're doing them now on a bigger scale, it's pretty much the same principle. And the principle is, you don't turn anybody away who qualifies. People who need the food are deeply in need, and they don't pay. They get taken care of. For many, this is very unusual, especially, and that worries me very much when I see it, especially women with breast cancer often feel shamed by needing and not being able to take care of their families. Mom today also is 120 volunteers every week that we need. And if we don't have them, then we really start running around the county, because we do feed everybody. We've never missed a meal. Qualification for clients, prospective clients, is simple. All we need to know what their illness is, and we need to have that confirmed through a doctor, which can be done through fax from the doctor's office. If the need is really great, which often it is, because people feel often shamed by not being well, and they wait until the last second to ask for help. And oftentimes it's like, when do you need the food? Oh, as soon as possible. So it still happens today that we feed the very same day. If the call comes in before noon, we possibly can eke out an extra dinner and make sure that that person gets fed right away before all the official intake is done. As of today, we have served over 900,000 meals, and those are meals that would not ever have been eaten if Meals of Marin hadn't been there. Deeply satisfying. Those 900,000 meals aren't the last ones. We keep on rolling, and the need is getting bigger. And as a matter of fact, what we see right now, as the economy is not very healthy, people that had been teetering on the corner there fall over the edge and they need help. People who get sick may not have health insurance, major expenses coming their way. The whole family goes into a tailspin over one family member being so deadly ill, fighting for their life, and there is no end to it that I see. I was convinced that once the AIDS crisis was over, we could fold and that was it, and we've done something wonderful. And actually, in the meantime, we have widened our mission. And here you can see how life plays. When I said in the first place that things will come around, they find their way. I started feeding people with AIDS. And about 5 years into it, we got asked if we could feed people with breast cancer. And of course, yes, full circle. And instead of having to widen our mission once more, we then opened up to say all people with life-threatening illnesses under the age of 60, and the reason being is we do not wish to duplicate services that will be taken care of by other organizations. A direct outcome of what we do here at Meals of Marin is also an incredible relationship with local farmers. They have been incredibly, incredibly generous to us, and just like with volunteers, without the farmers, we would not be able to fulfill our mission. Every Sunday and every Thursday, we go to the farmers market. I go religiously every time, and farmers give us leftover produce of the finest. You should think that this leftover stuff would have blemishes and this and that. No, it is absolutely beautiful, and most of it is organic. We are deeply indebted, and we're deeply grateful. And if you can do anything for yourself and your family and for the community, go shop at the farmers market. Well, how does this all happen? It happens, of course, through volunteers. It happens through people giving us in-kind donations. But really, the unsexy stuff, the electricity, the wages, anything that makes this organization function needs real money. So we're asking for donations, and we would be deeply grateful if you find it in your heart to open your purse strings wide, because it takes about $700,000 a year to make this all work, to operate Meals of Marin. And just picture this. Yes, we do buy food. We buy all the staples. We have to. We buy all the expensive things, such as the meat and the chickens. And we definitely need to make sure that the basics, the operating costs, are covered. PG&E will want to be paid, and fuel, we need to be able to pick up things and deliver. Yes, our volunteers do deliver the food in their own cars and with their own gas. However, we also have deliveries to make when we don't cover all the routes. So we look for corporate sponsors, we look for the individual donor, and we will take any amount of money. We will take $10, we will take $10,000. We are just really grateful when people find us and help us cover a basic need in a county that most people would believe that there is no need at all. But there is an underbelly in Marin that often is not seen, is very hidden, and for people that are battling for their lives, oftentimes it is also shameful in a way, because that is part of our society. I'm sure we will overcome that, but in the meantime, there's real need for donations and for checks and for money that will help us sustain this. Fundraising becomes hard when the economy sours. And to me, it makes no sense whatsoever that a nonprofit should suffer. There's got to be a way. That is just how I was raised. That's how I operate. So since we are foodies already, a very natural way of raising money for us is to cook also for profit. and then have that profit go directly into Meals of Marin to feed people who we serve. And it has taken two forms. One is catering to people that need a special event that's maybe too small for a big caterer, or short notice. It helps us. And as people eat and as we can bring them great food, absolutely fabulous food for their party, they also know, and that's the little twist with our organization, that they are in fact feeding somebody else who's not just as fortunate as we are. The other way that we raise money through food preparation is we go to other organizations who have shut-ins and maybe don't have a kitchen and have to bring food in from outside. I can see us very fast running out of space right here. We're already putting out about 300 to 400 meals every day. And when I answer the phone and I have somebody on the phone who doesn't qualify because he or she is not inflicted with a life-threatening illness, but with a chronic illness, that feels very bad. My dream would be for Meals of Marin to be able to feed people that are ill and can't feed themselves, irregardless of if it is a life-threatening illness or a chronic illness, so that people just simply have that basic need for food covered when they don't feel well enough to feed themselves. If you have fire in the belly and you have a thought or a passion, my advice be, do it. Just go and start. Things will fall in place. I'm an example for that. And the interesting thing is, when you start something and you believe in it, that has a certain attraction, and people will flock to you and help you out. If I had been sitting down and thinking real hard when I started Meals of Marin, probably would have never started it. I had 2 small children. I was a designer. I had a business here in America. I had one in Europe. And I was traveling the world pretty much twice a year. Did I have time? No, but I started Meals of Marin. And that's the only thing I do now. Serendipitous? Everything that I did led me to this point. So have trust. My tip to anybody who has a great thought of something that really should get done, go ahead, do it, help will come.
I see the key strategic insights of Carola Detrick's success as, first, her sincere desire to make the world a better place caused her to give up her successful for-profit business and focus on growing a non-profit. Next, to better work in concert with other organizations, Meals of Marin focuses their efforts on people not served by other non-profits. Lastly, her catering business and support from the farmers market has allowed her to keep serving people hungry for her help. Today's guests could work less and make more money, but they instead want to help make a difference by feeding their communities nutritiously. I hope that this episode has given you many good ideas for increasing your business with passion.